Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something fundamental, the whole journey of human reproduction. We're going from, the very first step, sperm transport, all the way to menopause.
Quite the span.
It is. And we know you want to get a good grasp quickly, so we've gone through the physiological details, the source material.
Yeah, pulled out the key bits.
To bring you the most crucial and honestly fascinating parts of how the female reproductive system works across a lifetime.
Exactly. We're focusing on the mechanics, the physiology behind it all.
Right.
The goal here, our mission, if you like, is to give you a clear, engaging picture based on these physiological descriptions.
Okay, let's jump in. Starting right at square one. The journey of sperm.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
It really is.
You start with maybe 500 million sperm deposited.
An incredible number.
And only, 1,000 to 3,000 maybe make it to the fallopian tube. That attrition rate is staggering.
It's a huge obstacle course. And what's really interesting is how quickly some get there.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Their swimming speed is slow, like 1 to 4 millimeters a minute.
Right, pretty slow on their own.
But the first ones can arrive in just 5 or 10 minutes. How does that work?
Well, it suggests it's not just about their own swimming. The body helps.
Ah.
Our sources point to increased contractions in the uterus and the fallopian tubes.
Like a helping current?
Sort of, yeah. Facilitated by hormones, oxytocin, prostaglandins. They seem to actively transport the sperm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so they get this boost. But even then, they're not quite ready, are they? There's this next step. Capacitation.
Yes, capacitation. It's crucial. It's basically a process that makes them able to fertilize the ovum.
And it takes time.
It does. About 1 to 10 hours, happening within the female genital tract.
So it's not instant.
No, and that delay might even be a sort of selection mechanism, ensuring they've survived the journey and been in the right environment for a while.
Makes sense. So what's actually happening during capacitation? What changes?
Well, fluids in the uterus and fallopian tubes wash away certain inhibitory factors.
Inhibitory factors, like what?
Molecules secreted by the genital duct lining that kind of keep the sperm in check initially, and also cholesterol vesicles covering the sperm's head.
Where do those come from?
From the seminiferous tubules in the testes, where sperm are made. So these coverings get removed.
Okay, shedding layers. And the point of that is?
It makes the sperm membrane more permeable to calcium ions.
Ah, calcium. That sounds important.
It's absolutely vital. That influx of calcium is the trigger. It allows the release of the acrosomal enzymes.
The enzymes they need to get through the egg's outer layers.
Exactly. That's the key to penetration.
Right. And once one sperm makes it through, boom, fertilization, the start of everything.
Precisely. Sperm and ovum fuse, you get the zygote, a single cell.
Amazing. Then it starts dividing.
Yep, that's cleavage, rapid divisions, forming a solid ball of cells called the morula. That's around day 1.
Okay, day 1, then it travels.
Right. Moves towards the uterus, arriving around days 3 to 4.
Still just a ball of cells.
Well, it starts changing. Around days 5 to 6, it develops into a blastocyst.
Blastocyst, that has different parts.
Yeah, an inner cell mass that becomes the baby, and an outer layer, the trophoblast. That's going to be the placenta.
Ah, okay. The placenta's origin.
And then finally, implantation. Days 6 to 9, usually. The blastocyst adheres to the uterine lining, the endometrium.
And that timing, about a week after fertilization, that gives the uterus time to get ready.
Exactly. The endometrium needs to prepare for its arrival.
Just incredible complexity in those first few days. So, okay, implantation happens, and that trophoblast layer starts forming the placenta. Let's talk about that. It's not just fetal tissue, is it?
No, that's what's so neat. It's got this dual origin. The fetal part comes from the trophoblast, like we said.
Right.
But the maternal part comes from the decidua, the specially modified lining of the uterus.
So it's a collaboration, and its functions are just vast.
Absolutely. It's the lifeline. Does so many things.
Like breathing for the fetus.
Essentially, yes. Oxygen from mom to fetus. CO2 back the other way. Handles nutrition too, glucose, amino acids, fats, minerals like sodium, calcium, all transported across.
And waste removal.
Yep. Takes fetal waste products, urea, creatinine into the mother's blood for her kidneys to deal with.
It's the ultimate multitasker. What about protecting the fetus? Is it a perfect barrier?
Not perfect, no. It blocks some harmful things, but unfortunately some drugs can get through, some viruses, even Rh antibodies sometimes.
Oh, okay, so it's selective.
But on the plus side, it lets through important things like IgG antibodies from the mother.
Ah, passive immunity.
Exactly. Gives the baby protection for those first few months after birth. Really vital.
That's huge. And then there's the hormone production. The placenta is like a hormone factory, isn't it?
Definitely. It's a major endocrine organ during pregnancy. Produces 5 key ones we should talk about.
5. Okay, lay them on me.
Human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, progesterone, estrogens, human chorionic somatomammatropin, HCS, and relaxin.
Okay, HCG. That's the pregnancy test hormone, right?
That's the one. It's a glycoprotein made by those cystiotrophblast cells in the placenta.
And its levels shoot up early?
Yeah, peaks around 10, 12 weeks, then drops off a bit. Its main job early on is keeping the corpus luteum going.
The structure in the ovary.
Right. So the corpus luteum keeps making progesterone and estrogen until the placenta can take over that job fully. HCG also nudges the fetal adrenal glands a bit and has some minor thyroid-stimulating effects.
Got it. Keeps things stable early on. Now, progesterone, you hear that it maintains the pregnancy.
It's absolutely crucial. A steroid hormone. Starts from the corpus luteum, then the placenta takes over production, usually by week 8 to 12.
And levels keep rising.
Progressively, yeah. Up until maybe the 7th month, then they plateau. It's essential for prepping the endometrium, turning it into decidual cells for nourishment.
Okay.
It also ramps up secretions of the uterus and tubes, keeps the uterus from contracting too early.
It prevents preterm labor.
Exactly. And it helps develop the breast tissue, the lobules and alveoli for milk production later.
Seems like a real workhorse hormone. What about estrogens?
Also steroids, also a shift from corpus luteum to placenta. Their levels just keep climbing throughout pregnancy.
And their job?
Lots of growth. Enlargement of the uterus, external genitalia. They boost secretions too, stimulate the breast duct system, and nipple growth, cause that areola darkening.
So preparing the mother's body structurally, HCS is next. Human chorionic somatomammatropin, that's a mouthful.
It is HCS. It's a protein hormone. Shows up around week 5, increases right to the end.
What does it do?
It has a weak milk-producing effect, much weaker than prolactin. Its bigger role is in metabolism.
Oh, how so?
It helps build tissues, slightly an anabolic effect. But more importantly, it triggers fat breakdown, lipolysis, in the mother.
Why?
To provide fatty acids for her energy needs, which spares glucose. More glucose for the fetus. It also tends to raise maternal blood sugar.
Prioritizing the baby's fuel. Clever.
Yeah. And it also gives the fetal test an early nudge to make testosterone important for male development.
Fascinating. Okay, one left. Relaxin. The name gives it away.
Pretty much. It's a polypeptide. Comes from the corpus luteum and the placenta. Levels go up late in pregnancy, but drop during labor.
And it relaxes things.
Yep. Pelvic ligaments, joints. Increases the pelvic diameter, makes birth easier. Also softens the cervix around labor time and helps inhibit uterine contractions earlier on.
Like it's paving the way. Okay, so the placenta is doing all this hormonal heavy lifting. But pregnancy changes the mother's entire body, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Head to toe, pretty much. You see skin changes, for instance.
Like the glow or other things?
Well, maybe the glow, but also things like the linea nigra, that dark line down the belly, and sometimes chloasma, the mask of pregnancy. That's due to increased melanocyte-stimulating hormone.
That's in stretch marks.
Stria gravidarum, yeah. That's in the skin stretching. But also glucocorticoid hormones play a role.
Right. What about blood? I hear there's more of it.
A lot more. Blood volume goes up, maybe 35–45%. This can dilute the red blood cells a bit, leading to what's called physiological anemia.
Doesn't sound ideal.
It's usually managed fine. White blood cell counts also go up, and fibrinogen, a clotting factor, increases too.
And the heart's working harder.
Definitely. Cardiac output increases significantly, about 40%.
No.
Though sometimes blood pressure can dip briefly, and lying flat on the back can cause issues.
Supine hypotensive syndrome.
Right. The uterus presses on major blood vessels.
Makes sense. Metabolism must go up too.
It does. Basal metabolic rate increases, driven by higher levels of thyroxine, glucocorticoids, sex hormones, all those things we've talked about.
And urinary changes. Peeing more.
Usually, yeah. Kidneys work a bit harder, plus the bladder gets squished. And interestingly, the immune system gets dampened down a bit.
Why would that happen?
It's thought to help prevent the mother's body from rejecting the fetus, which is genetically different, of course, but it can mean slightly lower resistance to infections sometimes.
Wow, a real balancing act. And the endocrine system itself, the glands, they change too.
Big time. The pituitary gland pumps out more prolactin thanks to estrogen, getting ready for lactation, but it dials back on FSH, and LH don't want more ovulation happening. Maternal growth hormone is inhibited by HCS, and TSH gets suppressed by HCG and another placental hormone.
So lots of adjustments. What about the adrenals?
Adrenal cortex makes more glucocorticoids, helps get nutrients to the fetus, and more aldosterone, which makes the body hold on to sodium and water.
For that increased blood volume.
Exactly. Parathyroid glands get bigger too, secreting more parathormone.
Why?
To mobilize calcium from the mother's bones for the baby's skeleton. Especially important if her diet's low in calcium.
The body really prioritizes the fetus. And the thyroid.
Thyroid hormone secretion goes up, boosted by HCG and that placental thyrotropin. This helps ramp up the overall metabolism.
It's just this incredible complex symphony. So all this preparation leads up to the main event. Birth, parturition.
That's the one. The process of the baby being born. Normal pregnancy lasts, on average, about 270 days from fertilization.
Or 284 from the last period, right?
Roughly, yeah. And labor itself usually has 3 stages.
Okay, what are they?
First stage, cervical dilatation, getting the cervix open. Second stage, delivery of the baby. Third stage, delivery of the placenta.
Got it. And what kicks off those powerful contractions? How does the uterus know it's time?
It's a mix of things. Hormones are key. There's a critical shift in the estrogen to progesterone ratio.
Ah, we mentioned that earlier.
Right. From about the 7th month, estrogen levels tend to rise more than progesterone, since progesterone keeps the uterus quiet and estrogen stimulates it.
The balance tips towards contraction.
Exactly. The brakes come off, the accelerator goes down, so to speak.
And oxytocin, the love hormone, plays a role here too,
A
right?
huge role. Even if blood levels aren't super high right at the start of labor, the uterus becomes much more sensitive to it.
Why?
Because those rising estrogens caused an increase in oxytocin receptors on the uterine muscle.
Ah, clever.
So even normal levels have a bigger effect. Then, once contractions start and the cervix stretches.
Positive feedback loop.
You got it. Cervical stretch signals the brain. Pituitary releases more oxytocin, stronger contractions, more stretch, more oxytocin. Plus, oxytocin directly makes the uterine muscle contract, and it stimulates prostaglandin production in the decidua, which makes the contractions even stronger.
It's a powerful cascade. Are there mechanical triggers too?
Yes. Just the physical stretch of the cervix by the baby's head triggers reflex uterine contractions,
Pushing the head down more.
which stretches the cervix more.
Yeah.
Another positive feedback loop. And that stretch also signals for more oxytocin release. It all works together.
An amazing feat of biological engineering.
Yeah.
Okay, switching gears slightly, but related the mammary glands, they prepare for this too. How did they develop?
It's a process across life stages. In childhood, they're pretty basic, just a few ducts.
During puberty?
Big changes then, driven mainly by ovarian estrogen and progesterone, though you also need insulin, growth hormone, glucocorticoids, prolactin. They all play a part.
What do estrogen and progesterone specifically do for the breasts?
Estrogen causes enlargement, mostly. Fat deposition increases blood vessels, grows the duct system and nipple, and darkens the areola.
Okay. And progesterone?
Progesterone focuses on growing the lobules and the actual secretory alveoli, the little sacs that will make the milk.
So puberty builds the structure.
And pregnancy completes it.
Yeah.
You get full development then, thanks to those high levels of estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, and HCS we talked about. Gets them ready for lactation.
It all connects, which brings us to the final phase in this reproductive cycle we're exploring today. Menopause.
Right. The end of menstruation. The end of the reproductive cycles, essentially, caused by the aging of the ovaries.
And it's defined pretty clearly.
Yeah, technically it's 12 months in a row without a period, assuming no other obvious cause. It's quite different from the slower change, sometimes called andropause, in men.
Is there a typical age?
Usually between 45 and 55. Median is about 51. Before 40 is premature. After 55 is considered late.
Does anything predict when it will happen, like number of kids or birth control?
Doesn't seem like it. There's definitely a genetic link, but those other factors don't show much correlation according to our sources.
Okay, so what's actually happening in the ovaries to cause this?
It's often called the burning out of the ovaries.
Yeah.
Remember, women are born with all the follicles they'll ever have.
Right, a finite supply.
And only maybe 400 or so actually mature and ovulate over a lifetime. By age 45 or so, there are just fewer left, and they don't respond as well to FSH and LH from the pituitary.
So estrogen production drops?
Markedly. Plus, the remaining follicles might just age, fail to respond properly, fail to ovulate, so you get less estrogen and also less inhibin.
Inhibin, that's another feedback hormone.
Yes, it normally tells the pituitary to ease off FSH. With less estrogen and inhibin, there's less negative feedback.
So FSH and LH levels go?
Up. They rise significantly. That's often a diagnostic sign of menopause.
Does the ovary stop making hormones completely?
Not entirely. Even with low estrogen, the high LH stimulates some ovarian cells, the stroma cells, to make androstenedione.
Which becomes...
It gets converted into estrone, mostly in fat tissue. So estrone becomes the main estrogen after menopause, but at much lower levels than estradiol before menopause.
And it's these hormonal shifts that cause the symptoms, right? Hot flashes?
Exactly. Vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes are super common. Sudden feeling of heat, sweating, linked to disturbances in the brain's temperature control center, the hypothalamus.
And other health risks increase? Cardiovascular?
Yes, the risk can go up. Changes in cholesterol levels are often seen higher total and LDL, bad cholesterol, lower HDL, good cholesterol.
And physical changes.
Atrophic changes, yeah. Thinning and drying of tissues in the reproductive tract due to low estrogen can cause vaginal dryness, irritation, painful intercourse. Similar changes in the urinary tract can lead to urgency, frequency, painful urination. Breasts also tend to change.
What about bones? Osteoporosis is a big concern.
A major one. Bone density decreases significantly. Lack of estrogen disrupts the balance. Bone breakdown speeds up. Bone formation slows down. Less calcium deposition.
Leading to fragile bones, more fractures.
Affects a huge number of older women, sadly. Skin changes, too, becomes more fragile. Wrinkles more easily. Skin collagen loss kind of mirrors bone density loss.
Wow, and psychological symptoms. Anxiety, mood changes.
Very common, too. Anxiety, depression, irritability, fatigue, sleep problems, changes in libido. The cause is likely complex, a mix of factors, but the drop in estrogen might worsen things indirectly by messing with sleep patterns, for example.
It's clear lifestyle factors become even more important then.
Absolutely. Diet, exercise, they can help manage some risks, and research is always ongoing to find better ways to support women through this transition.
Well, this has been quite the journey, a true deep dive covering everything from that initial sperm race to the final curtain call of the ovaries in menopause.
It really has. We've seen the intricate dance of hormones, the incredible development of the placenta, the body's adaptations during pregnancy, and the eventual natural changes later in life. Well, it's remarkable physiology.